What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Monster Bass Live. I say another one, but it's really welcome to finally back to an episode of Monster Bass Live. We've been gone for a little bit. I want to apologize. Sometimes life happens and there's a lot that's been going on, and we can talk about that today. But, first and foremost, I got to get something off my chest. I don't know about you, but anybody that tries to bring turkey bacon into my house, I ask myself why. And then I start to question myself. Like, are these people really my friends? So Rafi shows up today, and Rafi's like, "Ooh, you need to try this new vegan bacon. It's all the craze." All the craze.
Is this my cue?
No, Rafi, you're not even on here. I'm just going to rant for a little bit. Now we're back, and we got an all-new show. Fix is back, and we already have problems. So I don't know what we're doing here, but let's just roll the intro and get started.
Guys, it's me. I'm back. What's up, party people? We're like, Max, come on. All right, this show is taking a turn for the.
I can watch that intro 1,000 times, and every time I see Max at the end of that thing squirting the stuff, and Jim from Filthy Anglers, like, it makes me laugh. Oh my God, we probably need to film a new one of those. But hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We've been on hiatus for a little bit, and it was a tough summer. Going through a lot of changes. My kid's off to college. He's now living in the dorms at USC, and that's been a big adjustment. And so we took over the back house. So my son's always been living in the guest house since he was a freshman in high school. We took it over, and we're slowly going to turn this into our Monster Bass man cave / studio / maybe I'll work from here, because for the longest time I was running the company out of the smallest room in the house. We can unpack that another time. Maybe we'll get Rafi on here in a little bit and we can unpack that. But clearly I was thinking really highly of myself. And so, we've made some changes. And we're going to bring you a new show, a new format every single week. Because, one of the things that really was hard about the last show was that it was all on my shoulders. And if I was out of town or I couldn't make it or I was busy, that we couldn't have the show. And so, when we got together, I said, what I want to do is really be respectful of my time, and be respectful of your time, and bring you guys a show that you can count on every single week. And I wanted to also have it be more than just some rant where I just sit there and I talk about whatever I feel like, and then whatever, T-Rex calls me up and says hi, and we talk for a little bit, and I wanted to have some show topics. And so to do that, I thought, well, I can't do this alone. And so I thought to myself, who can we get together? We're always talking about Rafi. And so I thought, why not have him be a part of it? But then, we had to have Fix, because, we know what's going to happen. First of all, we know what did happen. I tried to do it myself, and it was an epic fail. It was a disaster. And we couldn't do it. So we're happy to have Fix back. But then I thought, I got to have the secret sauce, somebody that knows a thing or two about fishing. And so I started scouring. I started thinking about all the people that would be a really good fit. I don't know, just kind of fits the Monster Bass family, the brand, the nation, all you guys. And I think I got a really good mix. And I just want to look in here. God, it's so good to see some of you guys in the chat. I've missed talking with you guys. Yeah, there's some good people. I see all of it. It's hard for me to see because it's now a little farther away because Fix has it up on the big screen. But let's not waste any time. Fixie, what do you say? Let's bring in Rafi, and let's bring in Mr. Wishing I Was Fishing, Chris Hollingsworth. How's it going, guys?
Hey, it's good to be here. Thanks for the secret sauce. I've never been called the secret sauce before. I like that.
Secret sauce. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I hear an echo. So Hopefully there was something in the there was a performance clause in Fixie's contract. You guys at home hear an echo? Tell me in the chat.
Yeah, I hear an echo too.
This is all right. It's okay. Your voice is it's just resonating well with the fans, so it's all right.
I'm enunciating to the back row.
Yeah,
okay, great. So, yeah, I'm really excited to have this new format for Monster Bass Live and have you guys be a part of it, because I think that we can deliver a really fun, entertaining, and knowledgeable show. Knowledgeable? Informative show each and every week.
Yeah, we got an echo, by the way.
You do?
Yeah, everyone's responding. Now, the question is, who's the echo from? Is it from me? Is it from Rick? Or is it from Chris?
Well, let's do this. Why don't we mute Rafi's mic so that it's just Chris and myself, and we'll see if there's still an echo. Is there an echo, everyone?
All right, now I'm going to test my mic. So this is Chris. I'm talking. I'm going to talk for a minute. You have an echo on Chris's mic. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Jiminy Christmas. Come on, Fix.
We got a hotline call. We need to have somebody call in the hotline and tell us what you can hear.
All right. Well, in typical standard fashion, we're off to a really good start. It's like we never left.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And we've been setting this up for what? 2 weeks now?
Okay. Somebody is the hotline open? Open that hotline and get me a familiar face. While we're doing that, for those of you that don't know Chris, let's learn a little bit about him. Let's play 10 questions. I'm going to go in a totally different thing.
All right, let's go.
All right, first of all, I saw on your Instagram this weekend that you were like at Giant Stadium. Tell me about that.
I was. So I've been working. Background of myself, I did events for like 20 years. So I was an event producer, I was an event announcer. So I was down with the San Francisco Giants. They do the Giant Race. And I produced that event long ago. And now I get to just show up and have fun at the stadium. So there's a 5K, a 10K. They're talking about bringing back the half marathon. So I got to be in the stadium, batting cages underneath the dugout. I was throwing pitches in the bullpen. Just absolutely having the time of my life. And then out with 5,000 runners in the morning, you tell them they're having a good time, they're cheering, they're laughing, they go on a run. And then I get to quickly walk to the finish line and have the snacks like everybody else. So pretty much all the fun with none of the work. And that's part of what I do outside of fishing. Coming up at the end of this month, I'm at the Maverick Surf Festival in Half Moon Bay. So we kick off the big wave season, and we have 2 days of bands and tons of stuff for the, just vendors and just festivities. And that's a little glimpse of outside of fishing of what Chris is. So we do a lot of crazy things around here.
And you're a grandpa.
Right? I actually have 6 children, so 5 boys, a little girl who's turning 13, and then I have 3 grandchildren. So Grandpa Chris, known as Funkle Chris to the nephews and nieces, and always goofing off, having a good time. So we're pretty busy around this place.
That's amazing. I mean, you don't look old enough to be a grandpa. I mean, I hope when I'm a grandpa, which I hope is a long time from now, because my kid's a college freshman, better be at least a decade. Yeah, you don't look old enough to be a grandpa.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm 50, so 51 soon coming up. We got married young, so hanging in there, doing my part, trying to stay active, keeping up with my wife. I'm not at her level. She looks like she's about 30, but that's all right. So doing the best we can.
Yeah. Speaking of your wife, I need to tiptoe around this carefully.
Yeah, be careful. And she is watching, and she will call in quickly, so be careful.
Listen, I always tell my friends, I love yoga. And they're like, what do you love about yoga? And I'm like, yoga pants. And I've gotten many of my friends to go to yoga with me just for that reason. So you're married to
I'm married to a yoga pants model, Miss Wish I Was Fishing, like literally is an ambassador for athletic clothing and yoga pants brands. And so she fishes in athletic wear, which is really, we need to talk about that. It's a whole subject for a future show, like fishing in jeans. No disrespect to anybody fishing in jeans, but this should be a sport that's a little bit more athletic, and fishing in yoga pants, she's comfortable, she's athletic, and I mean, she looks fantastic. So I look terrible in yoga pants, and you may look good. I don't know, Rick. We saw you on your promo sitting on the toilet. I think you have nice legs, and maybe you should try the yoga pant thing. But yeah, she's definitely known for her yoga pants and her fishing beauty. We get the tease she's a fish model, and she crushes it. She knows how to fish well.
Yeah, I think the difference is that she knows how to fish, because I watch you hold up big fish and then she follows up right behind you with a bigger one. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, she holds her own. It is cool. We'll talk all about that. I mean, having something that I'm 6'5", she's 5'4", we can compete toe to toe, nose to nose. The fish don't care what gender, how big you are, whatever. She can definitely hold her own. And she doesn't even want to compete in women only categories. We go fishing head to head whenever we go out, and I often come home losing. So no, it's good.
Yeah, I think that's a whole show to itself. Women's only versus men. I mean, I don't think there's a difference when it comes to fishing, but again, that could be a whole show to itself.
For sure.
Have we figured out Rafi yet? I miss him. You want to come sit over here with me, Rafi?
Fix has muted my mic. Oh, there we go. It's not just me, by the way. Everyone's complaining. People think that, Rick, people think that you and Chris are in the same room, even though you're not even in the same city, although you're in the same time zone. And so it's a me issue, and it's a Chris issue, but it's not a you issue, Rick. It's just the two of us that we get this horrible echo.
Bummer.
Yeah, I agree. Other than that, though, everything's great. It's good to be back.
Good to be back. Come here, Rafi. You can sit on my lap. It's one of the perks of working at Monster Bass. No. Oh. Yeah, too bad. Nothing. How do I do that? Yeah, you don't. You're not on the show, Rafi.
Well, nice seeing you guys.
That's great to see you, Rafi.
Unbelievable. Okay, so all right, so you live up in Northern California.
Yeah, we're in a private little community, an oasis as far as the bass fishing world's considered. We have a place called Lake of the Pines. We're between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe, right in the middle, foothills. And we're fortunate. Like right across the street from my house, I can go fish in this small pond. And there's the main lake. It's a golf cart ride away. I hate to say that, but it's pretty embarrassing. We've got a boat in the marina that's a pontoon boat set up just to fish. Literally has a trolling motor on the front. Yeah, we're just on the opposite end of California from you.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. And have you lived up there your whole life?
No, I was born actually down in Cucamonga, so I was a rock's throw away from you, I think. Southern California boy, moved to Texas for a few years when I was young, but then moved back here by fourth grade. So pretty much Northern California, raised. My wife, it's like a sixth generation. We tease her all the time. Her family kind of founded the Red Bluff area, so we're California through and through. We've traveled a little bit, but we've called Northern California home for a long time.
Nice. Now, when I think of Northern California, I always think of those guys throwing giant swim baits.
That's I'll tell you, in our community, I'll be plugging a lot of people, so I hope that's okay. But UFO Baits, he lives here and he makes his own baits, and he's constantly testing. He just caught a double-digit fish out of here the other day. We have a lot of people that have specifically moved to this community to fish. So Northern California, big swim baits. We tease. We actually have been putting some trout, which is a whole nother topic I think we should jump on. Putting other fish in bodies of water as you're trying to raise bass, but a lot of the guys think that adding trout has helped their swim bait bite. So it's definitely a community of people that like to draw big fish, and they're using those big baits to do that. So we definitely know what that's all about up here.
Yeah, what that might be what everyone is kind of when we think about Northern California, I think about swim baits. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're throwing, right?
I mean, that's the irony is when I'm throwing a big swim bait and Kelly's using a little finesse drop shot worm, and then I hold up my fish, and it's awesome. I caught a 3-pounder, and then she holds up a 6. Big fish eat little fish too, so I think it's okay. It is something magical about the handmade bait companies. It's really cool. Toxic Days was up here on the Delta, and I got to be a part of that with our sock brand, and getting to see the work that goes into it, the artisan factor of like hand painting, hand carving. And when I'm talking about them testing their baits, every bait is thrown like 1,000 times it seems, and they're changing the weight. So it's truly not just fishing, it's an art of itself. So it's really a cool thing to be a part of up here in Northern California.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't have the stones to throw an $800 bait into the water with a chance that it's going to get caught on a log or some submerged structure. I'd be the first person following that line all the way into the water. There's not a chance I missed that thing. And I got to believe that most people that throw those things think the same thing.
It's tough. I mean, I have a couple rats. Luckily, they're top water, so the chances of losing it, they're a couple $100. And I'm a little nervous every time. They're made to be fished. And I do have a friend here locally. He's a tree guy, but he's a scuba diver. And when anybody in our local lake snags up with a good lure, you call him, and he goes and gets it for us. So it's kind of cool.
Amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. What are all those candles up there?
We got all kinds of candles. I know there's a really cool. I got Bob Ross. I got a Bob Ross action figure. I mean, I draw a little bit, and I drew the hat for Toxic Days. Just something I like to do is some art. And so Bob Ross was a big influence of me growing up. So a buddy of mine bought me some Bob Ross candy. I have a Bob Ross energy drink. I actually have his little mini action figure. So just the little collectibles that we've traveled around. And Mexican marketplace that we know the owner down in Auburn. We have some of the little saint candles to bring us some good luck. So got a lot of random stuff around here.
Yeah, you got to have those. Is Bob Ross alive?
I don't think he's not. So most people don't know, prior to Bob Ross, his mentor was William Alexander. So when I was a young kid, I painted the Joy of Oil painting with William Alexander, and then it transitioned into Bob Ross. But Bob left us. He had an issue with some cancer, so he lost that battle. But it's a cool dude.
Well, all right.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you have me on the show, you're going to get a lot of weird information. I have a lot of different backgrounds. I was a golf professional for a while, the event announcing. I was kind of a sponsored snowboarder, skateboard punk growing up. Done a bunch of different things. So we're not hopefully just going to educate people about fishing. We're going to share a lot of fun things on the show, maybe grandparenting, some parent hacks, and we'll see. Maybe we can figure out these microphones and get Rafi back in here. But yeah, I think we'll have some fun for sure as this show goes on.
Yeah, you know what we need to do? We need to call the aggressively average anglers and get their nerd on the line that knows how to work this stuff so that we don't have this problem.
Yeah, no, they got it figured out pretty good. They got their nice fancy mic. So I hope I have a microphone, and maybe it's me, but they can
no
get it set up.
Fix is playing around with it.
He just needs to sprinkle the magic dust so we could call him, Pixie. That was the whole thing we had going on. But
yeah,
I don't know if we want to change his name to Pixie to get the magic dust going. But
come on, Pixie. We're good. All right, let's bring. What? You wanna? All right, you got Chris on the screen. All right, you two talk amongst yourselves. Figure this out. For everyone. Hey, Fix, you need to change it when I'm talking. No, not yeah, Fix. This is a professional show. How many people would you guys at home like to watch me spin the wheel of punishment for Fix? Because I've got one up on the screen right now. I'd like to see what. Here, let's find out what he's got. All right, so I feel like we've got this all dialed in. Can we bring in Rafi or no? Here we go. I'm going to spin this, and let's see what Fix is going to have to do next week. Shotgun a White Claw in Smallmouth Crush's honor. I don't know about that. All right, so is an outsider looking in. Tell me what your view of Monster Bass was before we got talking.
You want the honest answer? Because I'm going to give you honesty.
Yeah,
I
of
thought
course.
Monster Bass, I would get a bait box from you each month and we'd go through the baits. And that's some of the fun of having a bait brand, a box brand that sends you things that normally you wouldn't go out and buy. And I was super excited to get it every month. I would go through it. I would be introduced to some new baits, and that was really cool. And that's honestly what I thought Monster Bass was from my perspective, my interaction. I follow you, the banter that we have, some fun stuff on posts and different things. And I didn't know the direction that Monster Bass was going to go in the future. And really, when I would get a new bait, I would see the bait and I would say like, oh, these are cool. And I'll tell you specifically what happened is there was the popper. And I was like, these are good. I didn't know if I could get more of them. I didn't know if like I wanted more poppers, and these things were making the fish crazy. And it was a size of popper that really wasn't that popular. Coming off of like the whopper plopper craze, I think the fish topwater are like, wow, what is this? It's kind of a mid-size. And I didn't know if that was something that was back stock. I didn't know if I could go and buy them, if I could tell my friends, hey, go to Monster Bass. They've got baits available. They're not just overruns for their box. And that's kind of what I knew of Monster Bass, was you guys had this great box system that every month was delivered. And beyond that, it was awesome. I'm like, Rick, what's the deal? And you kind of let the cat out of the bag. You told me that there's a whole new direction of Monster Bass and developing the rod and the baits and the professionalism that goes into that. So I think that's maybe a segue. Like, tell me, like, with the baits, I think you have some new baits. And I was playing with one here just a minute ago because I got the box. I've not seen the spinner bait. Where is that going? Can I ask, like, who's doing the major design? I know you're doing some of that with work with other people. How do you find a person, I guess to pinpoint it, how do you find a person to design the popper? How'd that go?
Yeah. So, you know, I don't try and hide the fact that I am not, you know, I've never run a fishing company before. You know, prior to starting Monster Bass, I was at Lucky Tackle Box. And when they started to go downhill the way that they did, and we don't need to rehash the story, right? And they took all my money, and I decided I was going to go raise money and start another company. My first, you know, entry point was the subscription box, because that's what I knew, and what I wanted to do was just, you know, regionalize it, make it a little bit different. But I also knew that like the longevity in this business can't just be on a subscription box. But I also didn't want to go down the path of mystery where you know, they just created 10 brands and they stuffed their box full of their brands. And there's nothing wrong with it because they're probably crushing it. And I'm sure, you know, Ross lives in a much bigger house than I do. So congratulations to him for building a great company. And so when I started the idea, like I was like, all right, we're going to design some baits. And so I started talking with people like Jarmo Rapala, who's now with Bagley. I started talking with Will Stewart from Doomsday. Like I started talking with bait designers. Oh, I talked with, what's his name? Hawk, who is from Thunderhawk. And he designs he designs baits for probably 20 brands that are listed on Tackle Warehouse. And I had to talk to people that I could trust, or at least that I knew, because I didn't know anything about it. And so, you know, when it first started, it was, you know, the factory would send you like, here's 5 poppers. Which ones do you like? And then how do you want to modify them? And what do you want to change? And I went down that path. And then I remember I made a bait, and I sent it out to a bunch of people, and it was, what's his name, from Indie Fishing. Yeah. And he's like, Rick, this is a great bait, but it's a knockoff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's not a knockoff. And he's like, and then he showed me the bait that it was knocked off from. And then I saw the changes that were made, and I was like, oh. And so I bought like 10,000 of these things, and I sold them all at like cost. I was like, you guys can have these things for whatever, $2. I don't remember at the time. And that's when I realized, unless I'm going to go down the route of working with someone to help me design these things from the ground up, I'm going to basically get molds that over time have just been redone and modified and modified and modified. And there's nothing wrong with that, because, listen, there are there's 20 plus brands that sell the same exact Senko on Tackle Warehouse, made by the same manufacturer. And it's literally the exact same thing. And so there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, brands do it all the time, but like, I didn't want to go down that route. So I started talking with the guys that I knew and started working with them to develop sketches and then the 3D drawings. And I've learned a lot in the process. And so it's been a really interesting process in terms of designing baits.
No, I think that's pretty neat. Christopher, he's the indie fishing. He probably has more tackle than anybody in the world, and he doesn't openly share that. And I maybe let that out of the bag, but he was a person that I actually got to know early on in Instagram and connected me with a lot of different brands. And exactly what you're talking about, having the knockoff or the copycat, it's one of those things that it does still work. A lot of those things, the reason they're copied is they produce fish. And so having something that you're making and specifically looking at the evolution of fish, as fish behaviors change and as habitat is changing and our world is changing, it's fun to be connected with a brand like yours that is, evolving and trying to match that movement that's moving forward with the fish. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited. It's fun for me to learn more about Monster Bass. It's super exciting to be on the show now to talk about some of those things of what's successful to me in my area as we travel and fish different places. I mean, I could share, we were down on the Delta. We do these Windy Wednesday events, and maybe one of the worst fishing years in the Delta. Some people are like, oh, the Delta is insane, but yes, I love it. See, we got him back on the screen. So Rafi is in the house with the tape over his mouth, but it's been really interesting to see what's worked this year at the Delta and just what hasn't, and more things honestly just haven't worked than what has been successful. So it's been fun to watch all the power fishermen that go out there and they have to fish a certain way have been reduced back to probably one of those brands of that Senko that you're talking about that everybody's flipping. Sometimes we have to go back to those basics. So it's an interesting evolution of all of us as anglers, but it's really cool to see a brand like yours. It's still pushing the envelope to move forward and to progress. So it's pretty exciting to see that, to be a part of all that.
I actually think it's oh, hi Rafi. You really want to be on the line? But Fix silenced me. Please give me my voice back, Fix. Pretty please.
Got a bribe Fix, I think.
Fix is back and he's getting paid. I don't know how I feel about this, and you can't even be part of the show. You okay, buddy? Sorry. Yeah, like I was saying, Chris, like I actually think sometimes I think there's a bit of an advantage to me not being like a traditional bait designer, because like I give them feedback and a lot of times they look at me like why are you focused on that? And then I do. And then when they come back with the next revision, like I hand it out and people are like, oh, this is amazing. Like one of the things we did with a spinnerbait was like, I remember Daniel Nussbaum at Z-Man. He talked about the sensitivity and of using a little bit of a lighter wire. And then I talked with this gentleman from Yozuri, and he talked about the importance of vibration and the fish being able to pick up on the vibrations. And so like when we designed the flat line, like we put these like a ribbed underbelly, and you can actually hear and feel the vibration that puts out much differently than if those weren't there. And so we even put like tiny bit on the bottom of the spinnerbait, and the difference between the one that didn't have the lines and the one that did, it was like night and day. And for us, again, it comes down to like we wanted to make some little adjustments so that it wasn't just another spinnerbait. I mean, the reality is it's just another spinnerbait, and you can say that about anything, but we've got to have the reasons why we developed what we did and why we think ours is special. So it's really interesting, all the things that go into designing baits that I would have never even thought about.
Yeah, you're touching on a subject that a lot of people don't consider. It's not so much of what the fish sees. And I know color's important in all these different presentations, but when you're talking about a fish that a lot of us have caught fish that have one eye or sometimes no eyes, they're a bass specifically with the lateral line and sensing that, hearing the vibrations and how their personal sonar works to track that bait, whether it's dirty water, muddy water, whatever. And especially you learn a lot about baits using them at night and the fish, there's not a lot going on. Obviously, they can see better than us, but they're seeing it without using their eyes. And so, having a spinnerbait, that feedback, you're talking about some witchcraft right there. Some, I mean, we tease it's not rocket science, it's fish science, and that's literally what's going on when you're making a bait like that. So, I mean, kudos to you to try to figure this all out. It's been fun learning more about the feedback you get, and the proof really comes down to whether it works or not. I mean, that's the cool part about all of this is we can take the baits, we go right out, and it seems like you're really accessible as a company, as a brand. Does it work or not? And that's really what I think most of us are all about is catching fish. So that's a cool thing to think.
Yeah, and we're going to actually take it a step further. So, you know, we're coming out with a line of soft plastics. And to do that, again, I'm not a bait designer. And so I worked with, we're going to include in the box some soft plastics between now and I'm not quite sure, the next at least 5-6 months. And these baits will be a combination of baits that we've designed, collaborations with other brands, and baits that are from molds that companies that we're considering acquiring and helping to grow our brand. And so we're going to test them all out. And so the way I look at it is, so the baits will have, I probably have them somewhere. I can't believe I don't. All the bags will have QR codes on them. You'll scan the QR codes. You'll help us name the bait, give us product feedback, give us feedback on everything from pricing, the action, the color, so that we can make decisions on which ones are going to ultimately make the final Monster Bass lineup. And I feel like that's pretty cool to think that, like, you know, 20,000 people, let's just say, are going to be part of a product testing program every single month to help us figure out like which baits are the right ones to carry the Monster Bass brand.
That's awesome. It's, I mean, true, like crowdsourcing information. It's unique where a lot of times they'll take a bait. And of course, a lot of people will know that baits, like hard baits, are tested on 10-pound tests. And now 10-pound test doesn't mean the same thing because the diameters of the different line now is changing. And so a bait you give to somebody specifically if they're down in Texas, they're like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And you put it in your lineup and nobody outside of Texas can catch a fish on it. It's really cool to know that Monster Bass, the community, I mean, we're nationwide, worldwide, really at this point. So to have that feedback, to see, I'm always nervous of people that are like, okay, we tested this, but they tested in one geographical area. And it literally, what I use to catch fish here is for sure not the best for somebody somewhere else. So I think that's a cool opportunity to have all the feedback from, 20,000 people that are saying, hey, this works good, this doesn't. And you start hitting home runs where it's across the board. There are some baits that just simply work wherever there's fish. And that's the cool part, to be a part of something where you can gather that information. So, I mean, that's cool that you're allowing the public to kind of help dictate the product line. Cause ultimately, I mean, they're either going to buy it or they're not. So to have some buy-in from them, I think that's pretty wise.
Agree. Thank you. What's our situation on Rafi? Some things never change. All right, so I see somebody's been waiting for what appears to be like 21 minutes or something. Oh, is he gone? All right. Well, all right. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open the phone lines, and if you've got a question, you want to learn a little bit more about Chris, you want to talk about Monster Bass baits or what we've been doing and where we've been, I'd love to hear from you. But if you just want to call and say hi to me because you miss me, I mean, I miss you too. But let's keep this thing rolling along, and let's get some good questions going. So let's open that phone line. What's the number here? Okay. But how do we put that number up on the screen or something? Because it's gone. All right, Rafi, you put it in the chat. It is 323. I think it's 210. 4180. It's right there on the screen. I just can't see because I'm older than Chris. Isn't that crazy?
I'm glad somebody's older than me. I don't know. I think I have a mute on mine. My wife slipped a note and she said, "Don't rock in your chair. I'm comfortable." So she's like, "There's still a little echo." I'm not sure if the echo's going full time. So, can I ask you, Rick? I was asking Rafi the other day, and I know I'm going to start making some videos for Monster Bass and specifically educating people with like this monster class idea to make videos to help people catch fish. What's your personal best right now with a largemouth bass?
Well, my PB's 5'1", but that's a smallmouth.
That's impressive to have your PB be a smallmouth. So largemouth, what are you getting to on your largemouth? Do you remember your largest on that?
I think it was 314. I try to forget about it because I run a fishing company specifically geared towards bass, and my largemouth isn't even 4.
I would keep that. Let's keep that secret. So we won't talk about that. We'll talk about your 5-pound PB. So if I was to ask you for a video idea, since we're going to have this crowdsourcing, what is a technique that you would like to improve on? Just so you're the person that owns and access to all these baits. You're developing a soft plastic line. If you were going to go fishing right now, and we'll talk about that later, maybe is like your favorite technique or something you have the most faith in. What do you want to learn? What is something that kind of bugs you that you can't do or you don't catch fish with yet?
It's frogs. Okay. I know what the problem is. And I feel like now that I've incorporated meditation, like I just meditated for 30 minutes with Rafi before the show started. And we've been doing it every day. And I feel like, one of the things has been difficult for me because my mind is always, moving, is just slow down. And I know when it just comes to frog fishing, I know that half the battle is maybe take a deep breath before I try to set the hook, because I'm probably so excited that I'm setting it just a little bit too soon. And that's probably half the battle.
You just answered your own question. Yeah. I mean, we used to call that you're like a spaz. I'm the same thing. You should try count out loud, and you got to try that whole 1,000, like 1 Mississippi, all the things that everybody cheat and say it too fast. Like count 1,000 to set the hook. I think that's important. The other part about frog fishing is depends on how many bites and how many times you caught a fish. So it's exciting. It's fun. And don't hold that against yourself. Like if you've not caught a lot of frog fish, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And it's hard. Sometimes the fish specifically will not be eating the frog. If they want to eat it, a fish is not going to miss the frog. Other times, I mean, they'll tail slap a frog and try to stun it. So you're not always to blame. If you are setting the hook immediately, like you are with your poppers, because you got these treble hooks that are super sharp, it sounds like that you may be part of the problem, but your meditation, maybe some of that yoga you're talking about might help out, and maybe just chill out a little bit. So we'll see.
You're not wrong. I also think, I have a lot of fun fishing crankbaits. I would probably say, I don't fish a lot of. I don't love to fish a lot of finesse. Like we just like, again, I don't get out very often. Okay, and when I do, I'm always most likely I'm around somebody that's either a guide or somebody that's, I'm on Gunnersville with Mikey Balls, and he's going to put me on fish, and he's going to tell me exactly, we're going to go over here. I want you to start throwing crankbaits, and we need to be throwing them at, 8 to 12 feet. Me on the fish, which makes it really easy. So sometimes I wonder, like, if I was just to go to Gunnersville by myself, and I think this is a challenge for a lot of people, is where do you start?
You just hit it. That's the whole dissecting this waterway. You're going to go to Gunnersville and you're going to do what you did before that was successful. And that's normally what you're going to duplicate. You're going to go back and you're going to say, I use this crankbait and it was orange or red or whatever you use, and it was diving to 6 to 10 feet. And I think I was retrieving it about this fast. And that's your memory that's connected to those fish you caught. And then when that doesn't work, you're going to panic. And that's what really happens, is this whole panic of like, what do I do? Do I know where the fish are? What time of year is it? And that's the fun part, is really understanding how to dissect the water. Is it pre-spawn? Are the small males up there early trying to make beds? Are the bigger female fish right underneath your boat because you're fishing in the shallows, but really you want to catch the fish that are 12 to 16 feet deep at that point? That's where all the knowledge comes in, and that's the fun. So that's really time on the water. For me, using a bait where you have to create a bite is a ton of fun. Having basically an aquarium across the street, we'll go out and I'll catch fish on something that works. And very quickly I turn away from what works to something that's maybe harder to catch fish with. And so that is the luxury of fishing 5-6 days a week that you're obviously not talking about. You want to be more successful. Not to say that you're accidentally catching the fish, but you're putting the bait right in their face of what a guide is telling you that works. And it's kind of hard when they've already pretty much processed what it takes to match that pattern. So it's cool. It'll be fun to talk about with you. And I know Rafi specifically, he said his fishing is going out deep sea fishing with a beer and accidentally catching the fish and reeling them in and bringing them home to eat. But going to a lake and understanding what it takes with the knowledge to dissect it, and then having different techniques in your arsenal to basically find the fish and you know, fill your bag up with the good bag. That's really what we're all about. So I'm excited on the journey. I think we probably should start talking about some soft plastic applications, since you're bringing out some soft plastic sides. That'd be fun for some of the videos I'll do, is to dive in those. And I have a secret weapon with Kelly. I mean, she's the queen of drop shots. So that's going to be super fun to open that up and see how those go.
I love that. And I look forward to some of those videos. Let's take a couple calls, because I can see at the bottom of the screen in front of me that there's some calls. And I want to make sure we get to it. Who's in charge of accepting and cutting people off? All right, so folks, if you get dropped for any reason, of course it's Jared, because it's his fault for everything that goes wrong. And so why don't we take some calls and go from there? Go ahead, caller. Where are you from and what's your PB?
8.5 pounds from Texas, Ghost weight.
Oof.
Parker, Texas, Blake. Hey, Rick.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good, man. It's been dry and hot as ever over here in Texas.
I bet. That's why I don't live in Texas.
I hear you. I grew up around here. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Man, I miss you guys, man. Glad to see y'all back on the air.
Thank you. Yeah, I missed you guys too. And, you know, I think it was a necessary thing for us to do. I feel like that last show with Fishing the Lone Star, I feel like it was a crash and burn. And it was one of those things where, like, you got to hit rock bottom in order to realize you got to do something different. And I just knew that we couldn't come out with a show. It wasn't a good representation of the brand to have that take place. And then, of course, we come back on and it happens again. So anyway, but yeah, man. Go ahead.
Just like when you drink and you hit the rock bottom, you got to revitalize yourself, right?
You got it. Cheers. I mean, I'm drinking water, but anyways. But hey, man, I appreciate you calling.
Yeah, Rick. Thanks, you guys. I look forward to seeing y'all again.
Awesome. Cheers.
My best was 8.5, and my striper was 10. Catch y'all later.
All right. Bye-bye. All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Who's next? All right. Go ahead, caller. Where are you from? What's your PB? Hello? Don't you want to say anything to Chris? Come on. All right, let's go to the next one. Hello? Go ahead, caller. Where are you from?
Hey, Rick.
Hey.
Hey, Rick, this is Jody from Baton Rouge. How you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Alrighty. Hey, so I got my first box this month. Really enjoyed it. Good stuff. But I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So the Jerky J's, what it look like the Super Flukes?
Okay.
So the hooks that came with them, could you it's a mighty big hook, man. We fish a lot of swamps down here. That hook should work though, right?
I would think so. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the be all end all hook. I mean, Chris, let's go to Chris and ask Chris, like, if you're fishing a Jerky J, and we're probably putting you on the spot, but if you're throwing a Jerky J, how would you rig that thing?
So depending on what he's doing, I'll tell you, I'd use a Jerky J in a weird way. I like to use flukes on a drop shot setup with like a size 1 nose hook, and I suspend it exactly in the depth of water. But he sounds like he's swamp fishing, he said, and so you got a lot of grass, and so you want to make sure it is a weedless setup. I'm not sure. I think, is the hook you're talking about in the box the one that was the weighted hook? Is that the one that you're referencing? So I think I saw, I don't know if it's the same box because we may be in a different region, but I had a box that came recently with a weighted hook. It was more of like a swim bait hook, which could work with a fluke style bait. I'm going to say like an EWG, the offset style that you can go weedless in that thing. And you're probably looking like a size 3 is about as big as you can go, depending on the size of that bait. So without seeing it in person, I'm going to say, look at your bait. You want it to go down about 3/4 of the way, tucking in from the belly, bring that all the way up through the back end, and then, hide that tip if you're going weedless for sure. I don't know if that's going to help you, but you definitely want to get that bait out in the water. And it sounds like I think we're losing you.
All right. Thank you, man. All right. Let's, I see that number right there. Let's take that top one. I know who it is. Hello, sir.
Hey.
Hello, Marty
What's
Lawson.
up? How you doing?
I'm doing great, sir. How's your wife?
She's doing better. Looks like we might have started to turn a corner, but still a long recovery ahead of us. But she's doing better.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, so first of all, I want to say thanks for being back. We missed you guys, but for Chris, you asked about videos that we'd like to see, and something that I watch a lot of videos. I'm always learning something new. I have my own channel, so I try and put out good content to people. But one of the things I really don't see a lot on is fishing big worms deep. I just don't see any content on that.
I'm your guy. Let's do this. I love it.
Water.
12, 14 inch, putting an underspin as that worm falls. There's so many cool things about using big worms, especially right now, end of summer, depending on where you're at. Those lazy big fish that pull off in the really hot days and go down deep. Sometimes that's one of the best ways to instigate a bite from a really big fish. So you're treading on water that maybe some people's secrets they don't want to share, but I'm open to share anything. So definitely take that into consideration. Big worms out deep. I mean, realistically, anytime a fish gets presented a huge meal right in their face, it's pretty hard to deny that. So you're talking about something that's really cool. I don't see a lot of videos on that as well. And have you ever used an underspin on the bottom of a big worm like that?
I really haven't done much.
Okay. No, that's great. I mean, getting the feedback, it'll be fun. Hey, Rick, sounds like, I don't know if you've got a big worm in the arsenal coming out, but definitely something that you need to include. Talking about fishing the Lone Star, he's been showing some work with some pretty big worms out there. A good friend of ours with X-Zone, he does a great job making some really great bait. So having a big worm on the deck ready to throw it, if things are getting stingy, it's a good way to get out there and get some big fish.
Yeah, that's a buddy of mine. He's kind of mastered that technique here in my local area. And I'm starting to learn from him about, different ways to present it. but I'd really love to see a video on it. How to fish those big worms down deep. I think that'd be something that's great. Really like to see that.
Love it. Consider it done. It's officially on the list. So, and I'll show you a couple different ways that I've done it. There's a couple cool ways to rig them up. A big worm, a lot of times you can consider, you might get a lot of tail strikes. So if you can move that hook back, center it. I've had some really good luck with a big worm using it as a Neko rig and actually having the hook in the middle pointing towards the back. So there's some cool things you can do to make sure you get a good hookup rate as well. It's just tough. A lot of times you'll throw the big worm and you'll get so many little bites. They'll grab the back end as they puff their gills and suck the worm in. They don't always get it all the way to the end. But yeah, it's a really effective way to fish. So we'll definitely make a video. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hey, and note just for the Monster Bass family, Monster Bass Cares that I'm helping run. We're supporting a really big banquet here in Virginia for the Fallen Outdoors this weekend. And we managed to get some product. We got 10 boxes. We got 3 rods. We're going to be taking it down there to the banquet. It's going to be an auction. And I'm really looking at trying to help the Fallen Outdoors make some money to get these guys, these veterans, first responders, especially a bunch of the guys with the PSD or PTSD, I'm sorry, to get out there and get fishing. And they sponsor a lot of veteran tournaments here. So I'm really excited about doing that this weekend. And that's all because of Monster Bass Cares. And, you know, we started that, I don't know, maybe 5-6 months ago, Rick, I'm not sure, but yeah, we've come a long way with that. We need to start filling the coffers again. So anytime, Rick, you can get your guys to put the Monster Bass Cares Venmo back up, that'd be great. And looking forward to doing a lot more good stuff with Monster Bass.
That's awesome.
Important cause, and anything that we can do to continue to support that, we will. So I appreciate you, Marty.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. You're doing great things.
All right,
and by the way, I got my first blade burner, and it is awesome. I can't wait to get out on the water and fish it. Right now, unfortunately for us here in Virginia, my one local lake that I really like to go to, we're in a drought right now. They pull water from the Rappahannock to fill this reservoir, and the Rappahannock River here in Fredericksburg, you can walk across. There's so little water, so the reservoir has dropped about 15 feet. You can't even get a boat in the water. And even the kayak guys are having a hard time getting in. And then our other 2 local lakes, they close 1 October. So I'm not sure how much more fishing I'm going to be doing this year, but looking forward to using the blade burner in the spring.
Good. Well, listen, I can't wait to hear you give me some feedback, you know, because I appreciate it, the good, the bad. Everything that you guys give me is what's going to help make these better products. So I look forward to it, man. So thank you.
Yeah. All right. Hey, you guys have a great night.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Oh, it's Marty. And I forgot to tell Marty, I'm flying to Baltimore on Friday. And I don't have time to tour the Pentagon, but no, I'm flying there. I'm going to see Springsteen at Camden Yards on Saturday. So I'm going to be in your backyard, but I'm only there for like the concert, and then I'm flying right back out. So, all right, who else we got? Let's go. All right, go ahead, caller. Where are you from? Hello?
Hello, Rick. I'm Steve. Hello, you there?
Yeah, Steve, how's it going, man?
Doing all right. You?
I'm doing great, thank you. Did you have a question for Chris or myself?
Both of you.
Okay.
All right. My first question is, I haven't fished a tournament ever, and I got invited to fish this tournament in Pennsylvania. It's the Susquehanna River.
Yep.
In Lowville. And I've never been out of New York State. to fish another body of water, but it's a river. But I fished the Mohawk River up here my whole life, so I do know how the river works and everything. But for being like new to a new body of water, how would you what would you do first?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris.
For not fishing this body of water.
Oh, man. Homework. I just say start doing your homework right now. Looking at past tournaments, the beauty of YouTube, there's no chance you can't find a video on that body of water that shows. What you really need to decide is you need to make sure you're looking at videos with the same time of year. That's going to be really important. So if you've got this, when is the date of the tournament?
It is October 8th and 9th.
Okay, so you're talking, fall fishing, really, the fall feed, people talk about that. So depending on what's going on with the weather, the fish should really still be active. They should be feeding. You're looking at some kind of a transitional bait. Everyone gets super excited. You're talking crankbaits. Your big job is to show up there. Hopefully you have a chance to pre-fish. But first, before you even talk about getting to the body of water, get online. Yeah, so start looking at what other people have had success, kind of like going back to what Rick was talking about. He's going to use what he has fished with and has found fish. Whatever he used in the past, that same technique, he's hoping it works again. You need to see what other people have found fish with in that body of water, and then play to your strengths with what techniques you like to catch fish. As anglers, we're always trying to catch fish our own personal way and the way we think they need to be caught. The best thing is to see what other people have done and how they've effectively found them, and then go and try to duplicate it. You got to pick apart a huge body of water. So are you going to be fishing in a boat with somebody, or are you fishing kayaks, or how are you fishing?
No, it's a kayak tournament.
Okay. Yeah, and I have a lot of kayak background. So you're in a kayak, you're going to be launching. You've got to look for, where fish live, whether you're going to start to pick apart points. If you're looking along the shoreline and you got laydowns, you've really got to decide this body of water, what holds fish, what's their habitat, where are they feeding, and then start to present baits in those areas. Obviously, you need to cover some water because you probably only have a day or so of pre-fishing. It's not so much, of course, you don't want to win practice, so you're not worried about catching those fish, but you definitely need to see what indicates a strike and what they're coming after. Yeah, depending on the electronics you have, that's a big discussion topic right now, is finding where fish are. I mean, you can start shallow and work your way down deep. You want to throw some baits that, I like to throw big swim baits. We talked about that earlier. It's really cool to throw a big swim bait. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm trying to catch fish with a big swim bait. If you get trailers and you see fish coming out of cover spots, great way to pre-fish. You're not affecting them to make the bite the day two, but you're getting to see, is a big fish going to pull off of a log or pull out from underneath a dock. So I use a big swim bait a lot when I'm pre-fishing just to see where fish are. And then you can try to pick that apart and understand. So, I mean, your big job is to cover water. Oftentimes, don't forget, you're really eliminating water as much as you are finding the right key points. So when you go to a new big body of water, talk to the locals, go to the local shops. That's what this whole fishing community is all about. If you got social media, post online, tell people you're going there. I love if somebody's coming fishing a place that I fish, I'll tell them exactly what I've had success, what works. And shoot, I would spend, hours online picking that apart. I could tell you a story. We had a guy come out here to Folsom, which is a really tough lake to fish. And he was out of state. He specifically graphed the points of the lake, showed up and found fish at a specific depth on a certain steepness of bank. And then he knew exactly where those same spots were all around that body of water. And he beat us all at our own home lake. So that's one thing, is to get to know that body of water specifically if you're in a kayak. So kind of a long answer, and there's a lot of homework to do to figure that out. But that way you show up and you're feeling pretty positive, and you're gonna catch some fish.
Right. I see. I've been doing research on there. Like right now, like in October, it says that it's the lowest part is in October, which is like a foot deep. Most of it is, and you got nothing but rock. So.
And that happens. So yeah, you haven't probably hit the raining season, depending on what's going on, water levels, and of course, whether in their local area, if they've gotten rain in the summer. If you're really, really shallow, there's got to be a spot where those fish are feeling safe. And that's the reality is as water temperatures have risen all summer, if it's really shallow, big smart fish oftentimes will retreat and they'll go out deep. So don't be afraid to, throw that big worm we were just talking about on that last caller. Just something what is your favorite way to catch a fish? If you had to pick a technique, what do you go to? What's the way you like to catch fish?
I do a lot of topwater bait. I use a lot of frogs.
And I'll tell you, if it's shallow and throw that frog and throw buzz baits, throw different things. You can cover a lot of water and see a shallow body of water like that. If those fish are up and they're foraging and they're driving in, depending on the bait fish in that lake, fall transition time, they want to feed because often these fish are going to retreat and go down deep during the winter. This could be a great time to capitalize on a topwater bite. So again, get out there and try it. Try some different colors. You got to match the time of day that you're fishing in your tournament. So, understand that a little bit. If your tournament's going to kick off early morning, you got to try some early morning. Just because you get a late night topwater bite, it's probably not going to help you out in that tournament the next morning. And it could be fun though. So, get out there, get to know the body of water. There's nothing that can replace time on the water. So I'm excited for you. Let us know how you do.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I will do that.
All right, man.
Hey, Rick, you still there?
I'm still here.
Hey, I'm gonna ask you something. Been a while ago that I sent you that. Remember my 5-pounder? You wanted a picture of it, and I sent that like a while ago to you, and you liked it.
Probably.
That 5-pound smallmouth.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you were gonna put it in like one of your magazines or something.
Yeah. So here's what I do. I send all the pictures off to marketing for them to put it together. But if you resend it to me, I'll resend it to them and see if I can't like nudge them to make sure that one's included.
Right. That'll work.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you guys really helped me crush my PB, like that 5 pounds 3 ounces. I was using a crankbait and watched videos on it. I was at the river, and like I said, I one last cast, and I wasn't going to leave, so I took one more cast, and that's when I caught that big one.
I love that story, man. I love it. Thanks so much for calling in, man.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, man.
And thanks for the tips, Chris.
All right.
Bye.
All right. We have some more calls? Yeah, what's the Haynes one? That's T-Rex. Screw that guy. No, I'm just kidding. He probably has a good question for Chris. Go ahead, T-Rex.
Hello, Chris.
Hey, how you doing, T-Rex?
How you guys doing? It's T-Rex. I'm doing good. My PB is 7'9". Chris, I'm here in California, just south of Fresno, right by MAS Lemoore.
Nice.
I know you live up north. What's your thoughts on Clear Lake up there? Because I had the time of my life fishing the one bass tournament up there.
Thoughts, dreams, hopes, inspirations. It's honestly one of the coolest fisheries you can find. Historically, it's my wife, when we travel, she always reads this information. It is one of the oldest lakes in all of North America. So it's really cool geographically. There's volcanoes all around it. That lake has been there for millions and millions of years. It is a special place for sure in the world of bass fishing. I've not spent a tremendous amount of time, but I've never been there and not had fun. The fish there are shaped different. They're footballs. They're feisty. Talking about the big swim baits, that is a lake well known for huge swim baits. A lot of people go out there and do fantastic things, but because it is a natural lake that you can find places to punch, top water is crazy. I've caught my personal best catfish on a spinnerbait in a bass fishing tournament. There's tons of crappie. That lake is incredible. So yeah, you're talking about sacred ground here in Northern California. It's a couple hours away, or else I'd be there all the time, but Clear Lake it's a special place for sure.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed the time I was there fishing that tournament. And the fish there are just, the fight is amazing because they're shaped like footballs up there. I normally fish Central California, Millerton, Pine Flat, Kauai. I hit the Delta once in a blue moon, but like Clear Lake, Delta's a long drive, and it takes a long time to get there with the boat.
Yeah, for sure. The Delta, with the amount of waterway, I think you could fish your entire life and never see something twice. And that's a whole nother story with how hard that place is to fish. But the potential reward, I mean, people are pulling 10, 12, 13-pound fish out of the Delta. So again, pretty fortunate to be in California, and you're in a great spot. I mean, fishing down where you're at, it's pretty awesome as well. So how did you do in that Clear Lake tournament? Do you remember how you did up there?
I did really well day one. After day one, I was in 4th place. Day 2, we fell back a little bit because the pro that I was with, it's the One Bass Pro-Am series. Yeah. The pro just wanted to fish docks all day, and he didn't catch anything. I caught the only fish that we had from the back of the boat. And then day 3, we get out on the water, and I was fishing with a local pro from up there, and his boat kind of took a dump when we went flying across the lake, and the wiring underneath caught on fire. We ended up having to get towed back, so I ended up getting no weight in on day 3, and it was
That's
horrible,
tough.
but it's not his fault. Accidents happen, and I know that going in, but the experience was awesome. The pre-fishing was awesome, and I can't wait to get back up there. Matter of fact, when it starts cooling off a little bit, I'm going to load the boat up and find somebody that wants to fish and shoot up there.
Shoot, give me a buzz. Find me. I'll meet you out there. We'll go fish and catch some big ones out there for sure. That'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah. I would definitely hit you up.
Yeah, that's a good place. I mean, that's a place where
fishing with.
I was going to say that's a place to test a bunch of different baits. That place performs. There's, shallow water you can fish, like I was saying, a lot of grass. You can decide what kind of fishing you want, and you can definitely find it on that lake. So that's a cool place.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get together and we'll get Rick and Rafi to go, and we'll have us a little challenge.
Little party. That's right. We'll see if we can get Rafi. Maybe we'll do a Monster Bass live from Clear Lake. So we'll have to figure that out in the schedule and get some sound checks going on and make this all work. That'd be great.
That'd be a good time.
Heck yeah.
So, have you ever fished Lake Mojave down by Laughlin?
I've not. No. Have you fished there? Tell us about it.
Yeah, I fished there once. There's a lot of smallies. We're going back there in October for the One Bass Championship, and it's just like the rest of the year. It's a 3-day tournament. They do like a big expo and everything too during the weekend.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to get some more pointers. I've talked to a lot of the pros from up there, and then I also follow every time, when I went to Clear Lake, I found 4 different guys that live there that do little podcasts and stuff. So I joined all their stuff. I do this to every lake I go fish, so I can try to get some kind of insider information. And a lot of the guys are pretty cool. They'll tell you, if they're not fishing the tournament, they'll tell you, oh yeah, yesterday I went out and, I was drop shotting, deep water and pulling up monsters, or, I was jigging the rocks, or, all kinds of different stuff. But I know, Lake Mojave is known for their smallmouths.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
I've only caught one smallmouth.
Oh, you're in for a treat. That lake has some of the prettiest smallmouth you're ever going to catch. And there's a pro, Todd Klein. He fishes for some companies that I work with, and that guy does really well there. So I would say, again, start doing your research, looking at people's past posts through social media. I think depending on the time of year and where you're fishing, it's probably pretty clear. And the smallmouth, they're a good fishery for sure for smallmouth. So you should have a good time.
Yeah. I think Todd Klein is actually going to be fishing in this tournament.
He should be. Yeah. No,
I seen a post the other day. Yeah.
He does well. So, Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say he does really well. He's can throw a big bait like anybody else. Also some really small underspins, some really cool baits. A lot of, definitely for sure finesse. The posts and things, the videos I've seen of that lake, a lot of people are fishing drop shot, a lot of finesse style baits, plastics and things. So I think if you key into that with just your standard smallmouth fishing in that area that other people have had success, you're going to do fine. Sounds like you're teaching the pros a little bit on the Clear Lake area, so you're going to do just fine out there.
Oh yeah, and you know, I do love my topwater action. So I'm not going to go into detail because everybody already knows, and everybody's going to say, "Really, T-Rex, you use that line again?" So, but yeah, monster bass makes my favorite bait of all time, and it's my go-to bait. That in the year and a half, 2 years that it's been out, I've caught well over 200 fish on. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So, all right. Well, I'll let you guys go. I'm sure there's other callers, and I just actually got home from Dublin.
But I'm not sure what happened. So, all right. Thanks, T-Rex. Do we have anyone else? Fixie, do we have anyone else? Yeah, we got one. All right, let's take this last call, and then I want to do some golden tickets. Okay. All right. Go ahead, caller. Where are you from?
Oh, wow. I'm from Ohio right now.
All right. What's your PB?
Well, I got technically 2 PBs. I got a 5 in Washington State and a 4.3 in Ohio.
Wow. All right. Good work.
Yeah.
So, you got a question for Chris or myself?
I'm just trying to figure out I mean, I've been doing like completely the opposite that everybody says to do here.
Okay.
It seems to be working. Like everybody says, use black and blue and dark water or clear water. The water that I've been working in is kind of tannic and clear, but I can throw a white swim bait in there and catch some pretty good fish. But
So what's the problem then? It sounds to me like you don't need advice. Just do, listen, just because someone says throw black and blue, you know what? Maybe the fish have seen black and blue all day long and they want to see something a little bit different. And if that seems to be working for you, keep throwing it.
yeah, it's just certain areas. Like we have like reservoirs here and that works there. It doesn't work very much in the other ones, but
I get it. I don't know.
But other callers, I just heard somebody saying they're going to come to the Ohio River and want to fish a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to get back into tournament fishing.
Okay.
I miss tournament fishing. I was doing online tournament fishing for a while. I don't know if anybody's heard about the Lucky Go Fishing tournament fishings.
Yeah, sure. Anyone with a Facebook
tournament
account, or anyone with a Facebook account has seen that.
Yeah, I was a part of that.
Yeah.
I didn't do too bad. And then they kind of like fell off the face of the earth for some reason.
Well, they did because it costs a lot of money to advertise on Facebook, and they weren't making enough. They weren't making enough money. So, but there's nothing that says you can't find like a local club or fish like a weekend, weekend derby.
Yeah, that's what I want to get into. Like, if there's anybody that wants to come up here and fish, just hit me up. I'll go with them.
All right. Well, there you have it. How do they find you? Are you on Instagram?
I do have. I'm not too much on using my social media is kind of struggling.
Okay.
Instagram.
So how does
TikTok,
someone find you that wants to go fishing
Facebook.
with you?
Native Outlaw Fishing.
Say it one more time.
Is my tag name.
One more time.
Native Outlaw Fishing.
All right. Well, listen, Native Outlaw Fishing. Here's my challenge to you. I would like you to find an upcoming weekend tournament. I don't care which one it is. I want you to go sign up, challenge yourself, have a great time, win, lose, or draw, and then I want you to call back in and tell me all about it. Deal?
I'll let them do it.
All right. I appreciate you.
We have.
What?
We do have an Ohio Valley Bass Club, but everybody has boats, and they don't want co-anglers or anything like that on their boat. So I'll have to keep looking around and see if there's any other tournaments around here.
Well, thank God for Google. All right, man. Appreciate you.
I'll definitely do that. All right.
All right. Take care, man.
Good talking to you guys.
All right. Likewise. All right. So let's do some golden tickets. So, Chris, I don't know if you know what the golden tickets are, but
ticket holder. So I mean, I've got my golden ticket from my box.
Okay.
I'm gonna remove myself from the golden ticket, but yeah, let's do some golden tickets. Give out some stuff.
No. If you win a golden ticket, you get to give it away.
I get to.
You're
All right,
doing
I
a
will.
public service by helping me clean my garage. One day we're gonna do a show from the garage.
Done.
And I think everyone would be, super grateful if you won and took some stuff out. So, Jared, what do you got for me for golden tickets? Why don't you read them all except for 2? Can you do that? Yes. Great. Jared's coming on. Hey, Jared. Jared, just go online. You show them your face, read off the numbers. It's fine. Who cares? No, go online. Who cares if there's an empty spot? This show's a disaster. It doesn't matter.
Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. Well, you guys, you're making me feel amazing right now.
Your cheeks are rosy.
Yeah, they are. I'm just loving everything that we're doing here. Okay, first 20671 30005 40743 50515 60999 70023.
All right, great. So, Fixie, put those up on the screen. Split that screen. Put them up on the screen so that people can see them.
Okay.
Don't worry about that guest number 2 at the bottom that we don't have. We'll get it right for next week. I believe in you. I have faith in you, Fix. I do. We have one more caller before we call it a day. Do we? All right. Let's see who it is. Go ahead, caller. Where are you from and what's your PB? Oh, hello?
Hello. You know it's just under 7 pounds. Hope you can hear me okay. It is Mr. Gambit, man. What's up? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. What's going on, Mr. Gambit? How you been?
I've been okay, man. But, I sent out an SOS for you, and I said, okay, where is Rick? I see your photo up on the gram, and, of course, we see it on the gram, and you're in Europe with the Eiffel Tower. I said, wait a minute. Rick is in Europe. Is he going to become European? And is he going to leave us just a pin waiting for him to get back? And that's what you did, my man. But I'm glad you got back here.
Thank you. It's good to be back, and I missed it a lot. But it was a big summer. It was my son's last summer with me at the house, and I had to take him. I went over to Europe and met him, and then spent a few weeks there, and then I took him to summer camp up in Oregon on the coast. Him and 30 scouts, which was amazing, and it was a good end of the summer.
You're such a good end of the summer, man. I tell you, because I know you went to Taylor Swift. I did see those photos of you and Ralphie at the Taylor Swift thing in the empty bathroom. And then I said, okay, Rick's got to be going to some of the hottest concerts that are going on in the summer down here, because with Metallica coming to town and they doing 3 days, I said, Rick knows he's going to be at Metallica. Yeah. And then they just closed out the last week with Beyonce, and she did her days and selling out 70,000 seats. So it's been crazy. LL was there with his fans and Ice-T at the Forum the other night. So they've been doing concerts continuously, man. It's been crazy.
Yeah. Coldplay's coming up at the Rose Bowl. So a lot of good shows. You got a question for Chris?
Yeah, Chris, I'm wondering, are you competing in that Yakabass up there with Greg Blanchard? Some of those guys are doing those tournaments in the Yak up there. How you doing and what's going on? I haven't followed anybody doing the Yak tournaments up there. I didn't see the guys when they post up online and how they did previously. It looks like there's been some tough conditions on the Delta and some other places that they've been going, but I'm just wondering how you doing on the tournament set.
I did not do Yakabass this year. I'm between kayaks. So we sold off some kayaks. We were waiting for some new ones, and some companies had some issues in production. So I'm off the kayak. I'm on my own boat here at this local lake, but I do keep track of it. I have a lot of close friends that are doing the Yakabass. They did have the Delta tournament, and that was tough. Not many people were catching fish. I'll tell you, the Delta in California, I mentioned it earlier, we're doing these Windy Wednesdays. The first like 3 events, the pay went down to, I think, 10, 11, 12 pounds. It was crazy. So normally you go out the Delta, you have to get 20 pounds to even get a check at most of the events. And it's been tough. So Yakabass is awesome. Greg Blanchard, that guy, he crushes it wherever he goes. I watched his videos on the Delta when we were scratching our head, and he still goes out there and he catches a full bag on his videos. So Yakabass is still, it's going strong. I'm looking at maybe doing a majority of those next year. You fish out of a kayak yourself?
Yeah, I'm fishing out of a Brooklyn Kayak 122, and I haven't did any tournaments in the thing yet. I'm just getting used to it the last few years, and I'm hopefully going to spend more time this month coming up because the kids are now, back in school and the lakes are a little empty, so it's good to get on the lakes in Southern California during September and October. Because Castaic, Pyramid, Piru, and Casitas, those lakes are sort of open when it's during the day. That's time to get on the water when there's not a lot of boats racing around.
Heck yeah, no, those are good fisheries too. So you'll be catching some good fish. So yeah, keep us posted. Like Rick was saying, get it. There's so many kayak tournaments right now. It just blossomed the last 3-4 years. So pick an event, just throw your name in the hat, register, and get out there and catch a fish. It's a pretty cool way to get out there and test your merit of how you can catch the fish. It sounds like you know what you're doing, so give it a shot.
Well, definitely, man. Definitely. If I'm coming up that way, man, I'll get in touch with you and let you know. Maybe you can show me some of what's going on up north. I definitely want to try some of this stuff out. Look like those tournaments are real fun.
They are. There's a good time. It's a good crew, and that's the fun part about the community. Fishing, whether you're in a boat, kayak, if they're local people coming together fishing in a tournament setting, they're generally a great group of people. Kayak, it's just been a ton of fun. So if you ever come up to a Yakabass event, you're going to be welcome with open arms from everybody. And I mean, you'll be able to tag along with somebody that's going to go out and show you where to catch some fish. So yeah, hop into one of those. If you do make it up here, hit me up and we'll go fish.
Okay, that sounds like a deal. Now, Rick, got to get on you, my man. We haven't gave the people a super deal. I love the golden ticket stuff. And I noticed, I asked the guys, and they said, we got to talk to Rick about this. We'll see what we can do. I said, Rick is such a great guy at giving the Monster Bass family deals when they need deals. It's going on the end of the summer. Labor Day just happened. Rick, this is what I was told. I got a little section on the Monster Bass site with some gear that we can give the people. And if they can put the link in the room, Rick, can you give them a Gambit 50 discount, a 50-cent discount, man? Give them a 50% discount. This is what Gambit has to do for the Monster Bass family. You know how juicy those bait bundles are when people stack up with the juicy baits this time of year. Rick, you will leave an impression on so many of the Monster Bass family, mind that they'll be expecting this on a regular basis each year. When you offer these deals, they have to go to that site looking for the baits. Let's get them that bait addiction.
So wait a minute, you have a section on my website?
Yes, buddy, we're surprising you. Got a little section on the website. Now we just need that Gambit 50 to give everybody a 50% discount. This is what we do when we leave and go to Europe and don't tell the Monster Bass family you're going to Europe.
So
they said, we'll get Rick.
Wait a minute. You guys all did this to me? So is there a wait, I see Fixie putting Gambit 50 up on the screen. What is that for? This isn't 50% off site wide, is it? Or is this just
Rick, I told you, man, Rick, you just can't have all this fun by yourself going to concerts. When you go to concerts like that, you got to give deals, man. You have a big smile on your face in these concerts. You know how many smiles you're going to put on people's face today? Oh, my God.
Wait a minute. Guys, is this for the site? Is this site wide, or is this like something specific for Mr. Gambit? And how to because everyone at home now is looking at this Mr. Gambit 50 or Gambit 50 on the screen. Can somebody tell me?
It's a section, Rick. It's a section right now, Rick. All the juicy baits that people can put on their line and use at this time, it's a must-have purchase. Do you realize they got Kevin Van Dam's green shots? There's caffeine shads. There's frogs. There's swim baits. There's crankbaits. There's poppers. There is even, the actual hardcore, the Noisy Junior that was up there. We're talking the Mad Poppers are there. Rick, this is the time to even get the Ragnar. This is the time, guys, if you are dealing with Monster Bass and you know what Rick is doing, get on the Monster Bass site and get yourself some savings and save some money.
Okay, so what I've just been told, Mr. Gambit, first of all, thank you for giving away everything that I have. I don't know if you live in Los Angeles. You know how much USC costs, right?
I know, man, but
Okay.
Rick, this is what it is. We're gonna make it up in volume. When we sell a billion of these, all the bait guys are gonna be coming to Monster Bass to get rid of their baits. Trust me, you'll make it up in volume.
Okay, all right. So for everybody at home, evidently the Mr. Gambit collection has been pinned in the comments with a 50% off promo code. It's good to be back, Mr. Gambit, and thank you for taking care of the people. You are definitely the power to the people.
Exactly, buddy. Guys, this is such a fun thing. I told the guys, I said, this is going to be fun today. Oh, my God. When Gambit got his own selection, do you know how happy I am right now? Woo!
All right, man. I missed you. I appreciate you, and thanks for calling in.
All right, buddy. Take care. Love you.
All right. Oh, my goodness. What have you guys done to me? All right. Well, I think we're out of time. Chris.
Hey, it's been tons of fun. Is that a normal business operation that he just pops in and can discount? I got to make sure with my sock line that we keep away from Mr. Gambit's 50 off code, but it's been fun. I've had a blast being on here. I'm excited to look to the future to see, hopefully we get some echoes taken away, and we'll get to know each other more with the Monster Bass family. Super excited to be connected to you, Rick, and I know it's always a good time on the show, and just say thank you. I mean, it's been good to be here.
Thank you so much. I mean, I really appreciate you and your willingness to be a part of this. And, it was the first one. We're going to get better at this. And for everyone that tuned in at home, thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Thank you for, technical difficulties. We love to give Jared a hard time because it is his fault. And so it, gives him something to shoot for. And thankfully, we've got a men's team meeting after this, so Fix can talk about his blunders and his being out of honor, and we'll go from there. But to everyone that tuned in, Fixie, can you split the screen so I can see Chris? All right, Chris. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for sure.
All right. Thanks, Rick. I'm looking forward to it. Hey, take care, everybody.
All right. Take care, Chris. All right. Fixie. That's when you cut to me solo so that when I say bye to Chris comes off the screen. Oh, see, that's how. He's so pissed at me right now. He's so pissed at me. Goodness gracious. All right, so guys, I'm drinking my Cherry 7-Up because I ran out of bubbly. My sponsor only sent me a 12-pack. And I don't know. What can you do? All right, guys, listen. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got 2 more golden tickets. We're going to read them out. Or put them on the screen. See, we're bringing Chris back. This is so unprofessional. This is a disaster. 80345-90717. We're going to leave those up at the end of the show. You guys can check them all out. If you want, email me at marketing@monsterbass.com. We're going to hook you up with a prize pack from the garage. And this month, if you're unaware of it, it's the Monster Bass Takeover. We are hooking you guys up. This month's box is so packed that not everything fits in it. So if you're new to Monster Bass baits, you're going to learn a lot about them this month. the guidebook, tips, techniques on how to fish every bait, QR codes with links to videos, and there'll be 2 coupons in it. One for a free rod cover, one for a free face shield. Make sure you check it out. If you had a good time, give me a thumbs up on this thing so that we know we're doing a good job. And we'll see you every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.